The following program is the work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Coming up on BCIT magazine, a new general manager for the Vancouver Canucks.
We take a look at a unique social program aimed at putting street youth to work in the downtown core.
And in celebration of Earth Day, one tour bus company does their part to help the environment. Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Karen Horak.
And I'm Dave White. The Vancouver Canucks have a new man at the helm and a new direction after former player agent Mike Gillis was officially named manager Wednesday. Mark Jensen has the story.
The Canucks may be off the ice, but the buzz in Vancouver was still being generated at GM Place. Canucks owner Francesco Aquilini announced their new GM Wednesday.
On behalf of ownership and the entire Canucks organization, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Mike Gillis, the new general manager of Vancouver Canucks hockey team.
Despite Gillis playing only 246 NHL games and having zero general manager experience, he was a successful player agent, representing the likes of Marcus Naslund, the Courtnall brothers, Pavel Bure, Michael Nylander, and Bobby Holik. Gillis has come to a team that needs some major changes, and he explained his plans to the media.
I don't think this team is close. At this particular point, I think that there's a good foundation here. I think this team needs to get faster. I think it needs more grit. I think it needs to be more competitive. Roberto's a priority. He has to be a priority. If we don't have him as a priority, our shelf life with him is about 2 years, and we need to ensure that that asset is utilized as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
But in Vancouver, not all fans are buying in.
Loser team, loser management. I'm quite frankly surprised people still continue to pay homage to this team that loses 1 year after another and demands so much money for their tickets.
I think to sell tickets for next year, I think they needed someone with more high profile, like Brian Burke or Ken Holland or Doug Wilson.
Well, they needed a change. Same thing every year, So hopefully there's a change this time and we'll have the Stanley Cup.
Although new GM Mike Gillis says the team isn't even close to being a contender right now, he's confident they have the foundation on defense and in goal to be a contender soon. And fortunately for Canucks fans, he is known for having the guts to make that bold move which could put them in the Stanley Cup race very soon. Mark Jansen in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
And Mark joins us live in the newsroom to tell us what changes we might expect to see from Gillis. Mark?
Well, Dave, the Canucks scouting staff has been rather poor lately, and it sounds like Gillis will keep them on a pretty tight leash, and he will probably make some changes this summer. It also sounds like Gillis needs to make some bold moves in order to get this team back into playoff contention, and that could even include shopping the Sedins this summer. It'll also be interesting to watch the relationship between other GMs and Gillis, as he's had several run-ins with them as a player agent. It should also be noted that Brian Burke had been rumored to be coming to Vancouver to fill the vacant GM position, but he has announced he will not be coming to Vancouver, as he has confirmed with Anaheim that he'll be there for at least 1 more year. Back to you.
Thanks, Mark. A unique social program aimed at employing youth who live on the streets helped clean up after the annual Sun Run. Shane Woodford brings us the story.
On Sunday, April 20th, over 60,000 people participated in the annual Vancouver Sun Run, leaving a mountain of litter behind them as they ran by. The next morning, Street Youth Job Action arrives on the scene to finish the big cleanup done by the city the day before. And while the streets are cleaner, there's still a lot to do.
Street Youth Job Action is a temporary job service offered to homeless or street entrenched youth, and we help them work through and start getting back into the work field.
People really appreciate to see us out there. If we weren't out there, the streets would be filthy.
Street youth job action teams are kept busy after events like the Sun Run.
We do find ourselves extra busy. Today we have an extra crew out on our Davie Street route just to accommodate for the mess that was left yesterday.
The program provides an opportunity for street youth by putting them to work and allowing them to learn basic skills.
I'm a person who went through this program and is a success story myself, so this program to me is so important. It creates a bridge in between the street life and getting back into society, and just gets you working again and gets a little bit of respect back to you so you can just feel a little bit more confident every day.
Street youth job action gives a helping hand to those who need it most and the opportunity to turn their lives around. It's homeless kids doing a dirty job to keep this city clean. In Vancouver for BCIT Magazine, I'm Shane Woodford.
For many businesses in the tourism industry, zero emissions is all but a dream. But as Tim Chung reports, the owner of a local tour bus company is using hydrogen in hopes of eliminating his carbon footprint.
Vancouver tour bus owner Scott Mason is checking the fuel tank of the latest addition to his fleet, a prototype hydrogen fuel bus.
The bus runs on pure hydrogen, and it's not a fuel cell, but an internal combustion engine, so it's burning the hydrogen.
On board, it pretty much rides like any other 12-passenger bus, but without all the engine noise.
For driving, it's similar response in terms of power and drivability to any of our other buses. It's an ideal vehicle, particularly for tours around town.
With the current fuel shortage and the skyrocketing price of oil, operating a vehicle like this makes perfect sense economically. But that's not Scott's main objective.
I've always had something of an environmental mindset. I've always been conscious of the environmental impact that I have.
In an effort to reduce his carbon output, Scott has switched the rest of his fleet to biodiesel. But he says hydrogen is still the best way to minimize the environmental impact of cars.
Sure, there's always more that we could be doing. And, well, a hydrogen-powered tour bus is a good start.
Scott's confident hydrogen will one day replace fossil fuels, and he says the change is just a few years down the road. I'm Tim Chung in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
A Burnaby streamkeeper has worked diligently to bring back salmon populations to Stony Creek. But as Chelsea Dibble finds out, the creek still faces ongoing environmental challenges.
For over the last 10 years, Burnaby streamkeeper Jennifer Atchison has been preserving Stony Creek. Laying fish traps helps monitor salmon populations that have finally come back to spawn. But the creek continues to face challenges.
There's always impacts. Where human beings are, they change what is a natural situation. It's unavoidable.
Human pollution like garbage continues to litter the creek and erode the creek's surroundings. Development is also an issue.
So this is a storm drain that runs directly into Stony Creek, carrying all the non-source pollutants, and should have a pipe directing it in another direction away from the stream.
Environmentalist Diane Ramage says even walking along the creek can cause considerable damage.
It's important for the individual to realize that their footprints, not just their human footprint, but their actual footprints, also has an impact on the creek. The trail behind me contributed to this bank failure by killing the plants.
But Atchison believes if people spent more time along the creek, they would see it with new eyes.
When you see what is really there, when you look with those eyes, you'll be inspired. People are inspired by what they learn to look at and see, and change their behavior of treating it with respect.
Getting that message across is an uphill battle, but it's one Atchison is sticking to. Chelsea Dibble in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Still ahead on BCIT Magazine, the province has granted a Fraser Valley Post-Secondary School full university status.
And more high-tech toilets are being installed around downtown Vancouver. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Vanessa McFarland, and this is your community events calendar. This weekend, Vancouver celebrates International Dance Day. Many events will be taking place throughout the city. For an event near you, please visit the Dance Centre's website at www.thedancecentre.ca. This Saturday, come to Jericho Park to help celebrate Earth Day. You can participate by planting trees to help restore the park's natural habitat. For more information, contact Alston Bonimus at Evergreen. This Saturday is the 9th annual Grind in the City charity stair climb event. FireFit and Muscular Dystrophy Canada put on the event to help those living with neuromuscular disorders. To register, contact FireFit or visit the event's website. That was your community events calendar. I'm Vanessa McFarland.